All right, still talking about this Terence Crawford incident that happened with the Omaha Police Department and fair use policy, fair use. So we're going to listen to this news report and then I'll give my thoughts. So check it out together.
After Omaha celebrated hometown boxing champ Bud Crawford's accomplishments with a parade, he's pulled over by Omaha police, setting off a firestorm on social media. Good evening. Thanks for staying up with us. I'm Brian Mastry.
And I'm Zena Taher. Today is Bud Crawford's birthday. He turned 38. What happened at the traffic stop early this morning in downtown Omaha is now the subject of an internal investigation at the police department.
We'll hear from Crawford's security guard who was in the vehicle in a moment. Plus, reaction from the mayor. First, a breakdown of what police say took place this morning. Around 1:30 this morning, Omaha police say they spotted a vehicle driving recklessly near 12th and Capitol. This is near the Steel House where Crawford's after party was being held, which was attended by many, including Mayor Ewing. A traffic stop was conducted on Cass Street, a couple blocks to the north of there. Officers say they ordered everyone out of the vehicle for their safety when they saw a gun on the driver's floorboard. And only after that did they say they identified Bud Crawford by looking at his driver's license. First Alert 6 reporter Andrew Pfeiffer tonight with the version from Crawford's security chief who was in the passenger seat, the same man who rode on the float with Bud during Saturday's parade.
Be a man who can receive his second key to the city and have a firearm pulled on him by the Omaha Police Department all in the same day. Imagine that.
Qasim Shabazz is shaken up.
Only in America.
We were getting ready to lose our lives.
Being the head of Terence
And have a firearm pulled on him by the Omaha Police Department all in the same day. Imagine that.
Qasim Shabazz is shaken up.
Man, I thought we were getting ready to lose our lives.
Being the head of Terence Crawford's
Sad.
security, Shabazz has seen a
Head
lot,
of security
but nothing
talking.
like this.
Oh man, it was terrible. It was terrible.
Early Sunday morning, Crawford and his team were leaving an after party following his parade. According to police, they pulled their vehicle over near 12th and Cass Streets for reckless driving. That's where things took a dark turn.
And as soon as he said he had a firearm, the police officer that was on his side became unhinged.
Police immediately drew their weapons, pointing a gun at Shabazz and the pound-for-pound champ.
I literally had my hands on top of the ceiling and the inside of the vehicle.
According to police, an officer had identified a firearm on the floor of the vehicle, causing officers to draw their weapons. Qasim says it went down differently.
He never see a pistol, he never see a firearm anywhere. They didn't even see the firearm on me because of the way I was positioned in the vehicle.
Shabazz, Crawford, and 3 others were taken out of the vehicle and put in handcuffs. A short time later, they were released with a driving citation. Then, a video of the incident started circulating on social media.
I was briefed this morning, and my heart sank, to be quite honest.
Earlier this afternoon, we caught up with Mayor Ewing and asked him to share his thoughts.
I was heartbroken that something that was so good would then have an issue that would potentially have people concerned about police community relations.
Mayor Ewing says he called and talked to Bud following the incident and offered him this.
The most important thing I think that Bud and I talked about is that we would have a thorough investigation and that we would be completely transparent in that investigation.
There was no reason to have drawn guns on us. And no matter how prepared you are, no matter how calm you are, if you run into a rogue police officer who wants to escalate, then he's going to escalate.
For the record, Omaha police are reviewing what happened this morning as part of an internal investigation ordered by the police chief, where interviews with the officers and body camera video will be examined.
Now, we were talking, Andrew, earlier in the newsroom, and you mentioned Crawford's security lead, who you talked to tonight, teaches others what to do if put in this type of situation.
You know, Brian, that's the irony here. He teaches those classes and then it happens to him. Shabazz also is the leader of the Black Agenda Alliance, where he teaches classes on how to de-escalate situations with police. He shared with me what he tells in those classes if you ever find yourself in a similar situation. Now, number one, know the law. Be informed on your rights when carrying a gun. 2, calmly inform the officer of that fact and present all valid IDs. 3, learn to articulate properly, meaning show respect and state your case simply and briefly. And 4, to stay calm and to stay patient. Bottom line, Brian and Zena, Shabazz tells me he doesn't want this to hamper the relationship between the police and the North Omaha community, but he also doesn't want to sugarcoat what happened at that traffic stop. Live in the newsroom, Andrew Pfeiffer, First Alert 6.
Andrew, thank you. We're told both guns, Crawford's and Shabazz's, were legally registered. Police chief has ordered an internal investigation. The mayor stressed that he wants to get answers to what happened, but he also wants Omahans to remember the pride and joy of Saturday's parade and how the night ended shouldn't tarnish that.
So, what are my thoughts on what I just heard? Well, growing up in Southeast San Diego, Southern California, police harassment is deep. I was on Dusty Vision TV about a year ago, and I was talking about the Sagan Penn trial. Check that out. Big thing that happened in the 80s with the police. They messed with the wrong dude who was a martial artist, and they got the worst end of the stick. I went to high school with Sagan Penn's sister. Shout out to Topi. Cool girl. We went to high school together, but yeah, police brutality has been big, since the 80s. I remember getting harassed, and I wasn't even in Southeast at this time. I was in Chula Vista, the South Bay area of San Diego, and me and my cousin were driving, I forget where, in a red Camaro. We get pulled over. The cop takes us out. I had on some British Knight shoes with the snake skin, and he tells me there's a killer going around with those shoes. I'm 14 years old, $140 at the time, and 250 now, muscle. But he didn't know my mom worked for the state senator, and she worked right next to the police department, so that dude got in trouble. You don't know who you're messing with. You thought you was messing with some black kids, you got in trouble. But police harassment has been big, man. They used to take black folks. There's miles of cemetery out in Southeast San Diego. They used to take black folks out in the cemetery and beat them because no one would hear their screams out there. Crazy. But go check out the Sagan Penn story. I told it on Dusty Vision TV. Just type in Dusty Vision TV and then type in the J. Roos theory, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Or you can just watch a video on it. But you heard what Terence Crawford's bodyguard said, man? And you should always keep calm with the police like he teaches. He got to implement what he's trying to teach the people. You should always keep calm because it's a lot of hotheads. I was driving through Texas and I got pulled over by an Hispanic cop, and I could tell he was revved up, and I was with my mom. My mom was like, hey, just, be cool, because I tend to want to fire back, So I could tell he was amped up, so he gave me a ticket. He said I was speeding, and I had just got back on the freeway. So I'm like, how could I be speeding? I hadn't even picked up enough speed to speed. I'm getting on the highway. But he was just ready to get things amped up, but I didn't give him what he wanted. Yeah. I remember, too, like 4 a.m. when I was working at FedEx at the airport. I had just turned out of my apartment complex, Telegraph Canyon Villa, about to make a right, and the cop said, you didn't stop. I was like, dude, it's 4 a.m. Ain't nobody out here, so he let me go. Then I got in trouble with another cop. All this happens in Chula Vista for me. Some cop tried to get smart with me. He said I was speeding. He saw my FedEx shirt on, and he was like, yeah, I bet you wouldn't want a ticket. I was like, I'm not a courier, so I was like, don't make no difference to me. He thought it was going to make me lose my job if I was a courier, if I got caught speeding. So a lot of these cops are them dudes that used to get bullied in high school, so they get a job with a badge and try to bully people. And there's some gangs inside the police department. That's fact. And that's even more dangerous than the gangs on the street because they got a badge to do what they do. And if Terence Crawford hadn't been, well, they didn't know he was Terence Crawford. I was going to say if he hadn't been Terence Crawford at first, ain't no telling what would happen. I guess they found out later. But I know the mayor's upset because this was a good look for Terence Crawford for Omaha. Terence does a lot for the community. It was a good look, the parade, and then it's tainted by this police stuff that went down like it was the 1980s and 90s, man. We had gangs in Southeast San Diego in the 80s that were blowing up like courtrooms or police departments or something like that. You could look that up in the Lincoln Park area where I grew up. So it was a lot of tension between blacks and the police department. And you see why. You hate to see this kind of thing because we need police, we need order. We just don't need the road cops. We don't need the race soldiers. And we definitely don't need them messing with a hero of ours like Terence Crawford, who does a lot for the community. He's always represented himself well. He's a class act. They messing with the wrong dude, you know. And if they were speeding or doing something illegal, you got to pull guns. And you heard the thing about, they saw a gun on the passenger floor and the bodyguard was like, nah, he didn't even see that. So they just used that as an afterthought. They just saw a black man and a big guy, a bodyguard. They saw braids and got scared, man. They got to teach these cops to keep their cool. If you're afraid of black men, you're in the wrong profession. If you're afraid of black men, do not become a cop because it's not going to end well, you know. And I had some dude come on my page talk about, oh, what alphabet group are you in? You know, once I heard race war, I hit do not recommend this video. Nigga, you think I care? Get off my page, dude. He's like, you know, I'm a man like me, I don't go for that. I'm like, who are you? Don't nobody know you, dude. Like, dude, like threatening me, like, dude, I blocked that dude. Like, I don't want you on my channel anyway. Like I'm working for the CIA or the FBI because I mentioned a race war. Nigga, please. These dudes is something else. I wish I could slap one of these dudes, man. Coming on here talking crazy, man. I'm sitting up here defending Terence Crawford and he's acting like I'm trying to cause a race war. Never mind the cops. Kick rocks barefoot on Pebble Beach. Exclamation point. Anyway, what are your thoughts on the situation? I hear Terence Crawford might be suing, but I don't know. Maybe the mayor talk him out of it. We'll see. If I was Terence, I would sue. Anyway, the Cash App $JRoos33, channel number 2 and WJ, the Instagram, the J Roos Theory, fair use policy, giving commentary, LSR forever, and be fearless, especially if you black dealing with these rogue cops out here. Yay.